Hello there everyone, Ashton Flash here, and welcome on into another LEGO Arkham Asylum video. This one is long overdue, but I promise you it is worth the wait. This is every reference and Easter egg. This is really exciting. I have spent so much time making sure that I have covered every single thing here. I don't want to look back at this and be like, oh shoot, I missed this. So I really hope that I've got everything here. There's a lot that people just have missed and haven't mentioned that you're going to hear about here in this video. There are time codes and chapters if you want to hop around to the specific sections. There's different themes and topics like we usually do for these. So the first one here that we're going to start with is the references to the comics. The first one is on the license plate of the ambulance, the B258. This is a reference to Batman number 258, which was the first appearance of Arkham Asylum. Around back in this trash can, there's a lot of different references, but there's actually a 2x3 comic cover here of this really iconic cover of Batman number 9 from 1942. You might think, oh cool, it's a iconic comic book cover. It has a little bit more of a meaning than just that. That was actually the first ever Batman Christmas story, and this set is technically a Christmas advent calendar. It has 24 bags. It's also the first ever LEGO Batman advent calendar. So really cool connection there. There's also a little 2x2 newspaper clipping there that is a recreation of the Dark Knight Returns cover. Now obviously there's a ton of character references throughout this, so we'll start with the characters who appear in the set. I don't really have anywhere specific to put this, but obviously a lot of people are upset that there's a lot of characters in jumpsuits. We've talked about this a lot in other videos, but specifically one of the characters who are out of their jumpsuits has left behind the jumpsuit in a cell, which is represented by these orange plates and tiles. There's of course for the Joker, there's obviously the angel statue out front, which he has vandalized. There's also a regular face on the other side. There's a lot of ha-ha-ha's written around, a couple of smiley faces all scattered throughout the set. There's of course a vandalized poster out front of putting a smile on the face for the security warning. There's a prohibited sign that says a bunch of different items that can't go past this checkpoint. Joker's actually vandalized one of them on a different floor. And some of the items that's listed says that you can't bring any playing cards past this point, which could be a reference to maybe the Mad Hatter as well. There's the Stand Up with Mr. J poster. There's also reference to Batman the Animated Series with the Laughing Fish soup on the menu. His bang gun is also included that he's had over the years across different LEGO sets. He's also one of the only few people to have his own cell in maximum security, and it's actually padded with all those little white ingots. Dr. Harleen Quinzel / Harley Quinn has a lot of references. There's different graffiti around from her. There's also reference to Ivy and Harley's relationship. She's also got her own office. There's a sign out front that's been graffiti that says Dr. Ha on this desk. There's also her makeup to transform her into Harley Quinn. There's these two 2x2 tiles with different stickers. One of them is an employee of the month when she worked here at Arkham Asylum as Dr. Harleen Quinzel. Note how it's actually crooked, as she's gone crooked now and has a most wanted poster as well. Included as well as this couch that allows for the different inmates to lie down for their sessions with Dr. Quinzel, but you could also specifically put Joker there and have them recreate when they were falling in love, which I think is really fun. There's a little bit of a story going on here with Scarecrow where you could see that he's actually put in his fear toxin. You can actually see him doing that on the security cameras, but that design for the cooler is actually the exact same for like the fear toxin that was in the 2007 Batcopter chase. Also, a guard presumably has drank from it and dropped their mug after being poisoned. Penguin has a few references. He's actually got some graffiti of a penguin wearing a top hat, as well as he does have two little penguins. The designs for these is very similar to the ones that we saw back from the original LEGO Batman theme, but one of them also has a stick of dynamite, which could be a reference to Batman Returns, or specifically one of his abilities from the LEGO Batman video game. Going back to the restricted item sign, it says no umbrellas. Heading back into Harley's office, there's a GCPD folder about Killer Croc, which shows him actually crawling out of a sewer. Speaking of that sewer, I'm not sure if it's the same one, but there is a sewer grate out in the courtyard with some claw marks on it. Catwoman has two things. She's actually holding cat food. There's also some graffiti in the back that says, "Hello there." And no, this is not a reference to Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is a reference to Batman Returns when she breaks the sign in her apartment to say "Hell here." Riddler has a lot of different references. Of course, there is the graffiti out front. Presumably this is the Riddler doing this on the restricted access area, writing "unrestricted" with a bunch of question marks and an exclamation mark. The door says "not a revolving door," given how all the criminals are constantly coming and going here in the asylum. He specifically, though, has a crossword puzzle hidden up in the rafters of the roof. Poison Ivy has a few different references with the chemical equation for photosynthesis on this board. Ivy has the only personalized cell, really, and you could see that there's all of these plants and different things growing out of her cell into the courtyard and onto the side of the building. Also, the color of her floor has changed and it's sort of mossy. Mr. Freeze has a few different things. It says no coolers past this point, snow cones on the menu, and also he's created a little snowman by using the water that has come out of the drainage pipe. Don't really know where to put this, but Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne? Who's that? Sounds like a cool guy.
He's got a few references here. Wayne Tech is responsible for the computers in Arkham Asylum. Also on the back, there's some sort of listing here. I don't know if it's a job listing or financial help with Wayne Enterprise here that somebody's taken the number for. On the inside, there's a door code, 1902. This is Bruce Wayne's birthday, which is February 19th. Now, for the characters that aren't included in the set, I think the one that has the most references is Clayface. Clayface was dropped off here at the asylum. You can see on that screen from before that he's had his mugshot taken with a camera. You'll also notice that on the floor he's dropped his little placard, and on that it has his name, some clay, but also specifically the number there is a reference to Detective Comics number 40 from 1940, Clayface's first appearance. Also, the design for him is very much what we've been waiting to get in minifigure form from the first LEGO Batman video game. So, not entirely sure how this happened, but he does escape, and you can see the mud and the clay coming out of the pipe, and then he's also broken through the fence. Two-Face / Harvey Dent has some references, including a campaign poster for him that's been scratched in half, and you can see where his now scarred face would be. It says that there's no coins past this point, as well as, speaking of his coin, it is actually featured inside of Harley's office, in her office, as well as Dr. Hugo Strange's doctorate. Not sure if this is a specific reference to Mad Hatter, but there is a teacup and plate on the floor. Again, there's also that playing card reference that I talked about a little bit before. Egghead literally has his own Easter egg in the form of an egg here. The Eraser's head is featured on this little cabinet alongside of this owl statue, which is a reference to the Court of Owls. Calendar Man makes an appearance on a calendar. Condiment King has ketchup and mustard bottles up in the attic. Inside this room, on the height chart, there is a little shark fin there for King Shark's height, as well as in this room, there's a clock, which could be a reference to Clock King, but specifically if you look at the time, that's 10:47. That's the exact same time, in a lot of different media, that Thomas and Martha Wayne were killed. Inside here as well is a little radium tile, perhaps a reference to Professor Radium. There's a poster here of Jeremiah Arkham, which is really cool. And on the outside, the craziest reference here is to Superman, who's actually on this poster for Visit Metropolis. And there's also the Daily Planet there as well, which a lot of people are hoping and thinking could be the next modular building. The classic LEGO Batman theme from 2006 to 2008 has a ton of references. The villain lineup is almost the exact same lineup of characters that appeared in the 2006 to 2008 batch of sets, with the exception of Two-Face. Also notably missing from that era is Nightwing, who appeared in that original Arkham Asylum set. Along with him, though, was two Arkham guards, just like this set. The design for the set is very much similar to the 2006 one, also the LEGO Batman movie one with the reddish brown as a color choice, as well as, speaking of that set, 7785 is referenced on top of the ambulance. This also has a spotlight, which isn't specifically a reference to that original one, but it did have one where the other two Arkham Asylums didn't. Something else to note is that the Batman suit here is actually Batman in all black, which is also what he was wearing in the 2006 Arkham. The LEGO Batman video game, a lot of the stuff that we've talked about, you could make a connection to this, but specifically it has its own reference with there being all four of the colored studs that you collect from the video games But sadly, there's no mini kit included like we just saw with the Death Star. Speaking of video games, the Arkham games have a couple of references included here too, like the Hitchhiker's sign out front. There's also Joker on the security camera, which to me reminds me a lot of like when he's taking over the asylum.
I'm in control of the asylum. You're not going anywhere I don't want you to. Understand?
A lot of the outfits and appearances for some of the villains seem to be inspired by the video games, in my opinion. Like Penguin's face is actually the first time ever that the monocle appears on the other eye, which obviously Lego's not going to print a bottle, but that's just really interesting that we're approaching 20 years next year since the first Lego Penguin minifigure, and every single time the monocle has been on the other eye except for here. Poison Ivy, I feel like this is very much like her appearance from the Arkham games. Same with Catwoman, the black leather and everything. But again, this could just be any of her appearances in black. There's something about Killer Croc as well, if you ask me, that reminds me of that. Maybe even, obviously, a reference to the classic Lego Batman theme where he was a minifigure. There's specifically, though, audio tapes being recorded in Harley's therapy sessions. There's also in the Watchtower what looks to be a Arkham Batman logo. It's sort of pixely, again, a reference to it being a video game. There's also a microphone there to make announcements over the PA system. From Lego DC Superheroes, we have back in 2013, the Arkham Asylum set had a gurney. And this set has the exact same build for the gurney, which I think is really interesting, just changing up some of the colors. Also from 2014, from the Gorilla Grodd Goes Bananas set, there was this banana company that was created there, and that logo appears here as well in the cardboard box in the back alleyway. For the Lego Batman movie, there's a couple things you could say, like the design of this Arkham as well as that Watchtower seems very similar, but the Harley Quinn design is using that hairpiece. Obviously the color has been swapped, the black and the red there, but she's on skates, she's got her hammer, the face looks a lot like that, so I just think that's really interesting. Bit of storytelling. We already talked about Clayface, we talked about the Scarecrow story, but there's one specifically for a spoon missing on the board, which I don't know if that's also a note there that Batman's left, whatever, but someone's trying to sneak it through security as well, through the x-ray machines, and then it's also used to dig a hole in one of the cells and escape. For Lego, there's a couple of references to previous stuff. Again, for superheroes, there's the yellow garbage bin out in the back. There's also the Lego Superheroes fire extinguisher included in the hallway. There's the electrical box that's been appearing in a couple of these superhero modulars. The designer of this is Justin Ramsden, who's the one who actually came up with the design for the inverted building. And this is something that a lot of people have been missing, but he designed it so that you can actually go into the garbage bin, take this little Technic piece here, remove the clay and the mud out front, attach the pin here, and then it becomes a modular connection point. This also marks his 5th modular set that he's designed, making him the designer who has made the most modulars, beating out Jamie Berard from Lego Masters and is in charge of Lego Icons, who designed 4 modular buildings. There's also an oxygen tank included here in the set as well in the light blue, which isn't exclusive to the set, but this is also not the first time that Justin Ramsden has snuck one of these into the sets for the classic space fans. Also included is a couple of his calling cards, like the red mug on that shelf, as well as a cardboard box in the back alley. Anyways, everyone, that is all of the references and Easter eggs here from the set. If I missed any, please let me know. I will pin the comment, make sure that it's seen and corrected. I'm sorry that I missed something. I tried my best here to make sure that I've got everything. There's just so many crazy references that I'd love to hear. Which ones are your favorites? Do you wish that there was some other things included in here, which I do have a separate video actually talking about, which I really highly recommend that. But anyways, be sure to subscribe, turn the bell notifications so that you don't miss out on future LEGO DC set news, reviews, other Arkham videos. You can find them all here in a playlist. But I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Hope you all have a great day. We'll see you all in the next one.